return a great core. I feel like practices are way ahead we're way ahead than we've been in any recent year in terms of getting our system in and our communication. We use different lingo, and we call things like umbrella and rail and pistols and things that are unfamiliar usually, and they're pretty comfortable with all that terminology. It's a credit to our 2 freshmen. Sarah Mortensen's a very talented young lady from Denmark, but we got her out of Long Island. And then Serena Geldof, who is from Belgium, and their heads are spinning just a little bit, but for freshmen, they're handling it great. And then the upperclassmen, we return great backcourt and great front court, and really, really have good depth. So right now, we're currently playing about 11 players. I can put a lot of different lineups together, and I feel like we have 9 that have started an ACC game. So not that they were ACC starters consistently, but they have started a game. Our experience and our depth need to really dominate games, and we need to use it very early on because the schedule that we put together, our first game's at Kentucky, and then the second game's Albany, who beat Florida in the NCAA tournament, and we come back and we got Charlotte with a postseason run, and it just goes on and on and on. Ohio State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge will be a top. In the early predictions of Final Four. Depending, but people are saying names like Ohio State, and they're saying names like Kentucky, and they're saying names like Syracuse and Notre Dame, Louisville, and they're all on our schedule. So we better be good because it's the hardest schedule we've ever put together.
You mentioned a couple of players, from Europe. Where is women's basketball? I mean, are they kind of at the same point that men are, because you see more in the men's game too, or what? It's
a weird deal. I played in Belgium overseas, so I personally lived in Belgium for 3 years. So I had the international connection anyway. Then when I coached the USA team for 2 summers, I actually coached against Laura Cornelius and Amesa Hoff. So I was coaching USA, and they were playing for the Netherlands, and we played them. And they were on the U19 World Championships, and they were only 16. So I absolutely said, oh my God, those 2 kids are 16 years old, and they battled Breanna Stewart and Morgan Tuck and Mariah Jefferson, and I thought, I don't keep my eye on those 2. They're really good. So that's how we got those 2. And then Serena, the Belgium, is from my Belgian friends that coach the national team, the assistant coach of the youth team, are people that are my friends that I know. And I had my eye on Serena as she grew and grew and grew and grew. She's 6'5", 6'6". She's really tall. So we have not as a program said we are going international. There's personal connections there. But it is a trend to fill some roster spots with certain needs. I think what they bring us, the flow of the basketball they've enhanced our flow and our what we call time per touch. It's a different style, and it's helped us remain very athletic and put the ball in the right spot at the right time. Very, very talented players in that regard. Ours are. So.
Is there anyone in particular who's really had a good offseason who maybe could surprise or do much better than
Jessica Thomas is playing out of her mind right now. Just out of her mind. She's playing so well. I mean, it's her senior year, and I'm expecting her to. She was really disappointed and hurt after the NCAA loss, and she has used that as her fuel, and her fuel is just, it's diesel. I mean, that's her. And so she has just worked. And then somebody like Kiana Hayes, who's been off and on, a little injured, a little dinged up. I don't think we've ever gotten a full great season of Kiana Hayes. If we get a full great season from Kiana Hayes, that's a double-double. She should average a double-double if she's at her full capacity. She's dominating the practices.
How much does it help that the entire unit, for the most part, is all back, and it's not going to be just a segment fueled by certain things from last year.
Right.
It should be.
Yeah, and that, like yesterday, we had a bad practice, so it was our 6th. And, I was like, that was a bad practice. But part of me was like, well, thank God, I have something to do. Like, they've been practicing so well so early that we were so ahead that I was kind of like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. We have a full court kind of defense that's like a matchup zone, and it morphs, and it's very complicated, and we got it in a day. And I've never, it's been 3 or 4 practices. I can't get that defense in a day, but we're getting it in a day. So we should. I mean, we return a lot, and the freshmen are bright. So, we have transfer Senior Bailey, who's going to be a very significant player for us, but she was in our program. Nisha Pettingham was in our program. They're new to playing this year, but they've heard the lingo. So that helps a lot.
Does the playbook get thicker this year because you have so many kids that?
That's such a good question. I'm wrestling with that one. Actually, I think it'll get thinner because I really like my talent. Sometimes you have to have a play to get something because you just can't get it on talent alone. So you're going to have to move the parts and get all complicated. And I like my talent. I think we got different looks. And so it's kind of one of those deals where the players have more control. So the playbook, the actual, I'm not controlling this exact call. The reads, the if they move here, we're read and react. So if Jessica Thomas decides that she can take this gap and penetrate, well, then Motley's on a drag and Laura's on a mark, and we have all this lingo, and they're all reacting to each other. And so if you can play at that level, you don't call a lot of plays. So.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the two transfers that you just mentioned,
right,
and what they'll be bringing to the table a little bit that you're excited
right,
to see them bring this season?
Well, Nisha will in the second semester, so I'll talk mostly about Shanice Bailey. Yesterday, like I said, we weren't awful yesterday, but it was our worst practice of the year. And I told the team that they should take Shanice Bailey out to lunch because she saved their butts yesterday in practice because we got into that full court defense, and she is amazing. You talk about an athlete. We haven't had one like her since Raquana Williams. We hadn't had someone that explosive, and I believe she's more explosive than Raquana Williams. She's bigger. You talk about closing speed. It's frightening, and her ability to elevate off of 2 feet like on a dime is you think a pass is open and you throw it. We play against guys. We have a practice squad of guys, and we play against guys, and I think they're a little intimidated by her. She's really good.
How did, I've asked this delicately, how did so many people miss on her? Was she a late bloomer, or what was?
Well, we missed on her too a little bit. I mean, she just came up to me yesterday. We had a recruiting visit, and we were out at the beach, and she came up and she said, "Coach, I gotta," because we took a selfie together, and she said, "Oh, I'm gonna put that next to this picture you got to show from your camp." So she was a camper, and we actually didn't miss on her. We just had another player already committed, and so, but then a lot of other people missed on her, and Fitz, who's on our staff, Fitzroy Anthony, he was at FAU, and I didn't have an opening on my staff. I mean, that whole Shanice Bailey thing happened because Fitz was like, well, she's requested her release, and he just let us know she's really good. And so then we kind of looked into it, and it was the old staff. And then after Bailey transferred, Fitz came later. So, but I mean, I trust Fitz, obviously, so he gave a good evaluation.
I'm just looking at this news release about the renovations.
Yeah.
I think it's open when, 2001, is that when it was open? 15 years, 1.7, another $1.7 million.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
that's pretty amazing. I mean, what's all going to be, I see what's going to be done here. But
right.
Is this overkill? Is this necessary to keep up with the Joneses kind of thing?
Well, you know what? I don't think Miami, we don't have that philosophy. We don't spend money just to spend it. I think that's one of the secrets of being at a private university that has had such a huge athletic stage, but we have to be smart with what we build our projects on. But yes, I was in my office right before the renovations began with the recruit who was on an unofficial visit. And I said, well, tomorrow they're going to destroy this office. And she was like, why? I was like, yeah, I know, it's nice, right? It's a nice facility, but some of the upgrades are completely necessary. Just some of the technology, I think we really needed to, it's going to help us. The film room was hard. Now I have 14 players, and we can't all watch film together. So because of the way the film room was designed. So some of the design stuff just needed to change a little bit. And if you're going to change the design, you might as well add a few bells and whistles, right?
And time for 2 more to coach us that off to practice.
The NBA is doing a thing now where coaches and staffs can look at live video, courtside in game.
Oh, they are.
To just have, yeah.
Wow.
Some coaches think it's a game changer, and some coaches are like, yeah, I don't have time to look at
Right.
anything during the game.
Right.
Where would you be on that?
I would be manic. I mean, wow. When you're calling offense and defense as quickly as we play, I can't even imagine that I would have a lot of time to do that. My assistant coaches have a lot of in-game responsibilities too. I suppose if someone, sitting behind some other staff member could give me a tip here or there, I think you might miss the feel. There are times you watch game and you get home and you go, boy, and I always, after we lost and I watch a game, I literally pray, I hope this is my fault. I hope when I watch this film, I'm like, Meier, you're stupid. You should have done this and this and this, because then I can solve that and then I'm happy. When it's not your fault as a coach, you get really nervous because you got to do something bigger than just change your calls, right? So I'm always hoping it's my fault. And but then again, if in the game they were sitting there telling me it was my fault, I might might not be so good of a coach.
Last one.
Going with 14 in the roster.
Yeah.
Probably isn't a nice problem to have, but I mean, I don't recall too many nights where you really would go deeper than 9, maybe 10.
Yeah, we will right now. I mean, there's an 11-person rotation that's I think, and I have to check that, but I'm pretty sure if you count Bailey as someone who would warrant an ACC start, like there's 9 people that have started, like Kayla Prather started an ACC, Erica, Mace, Laura, Jit, Ma. I mean, Kiki Harris, she started ACC.
So is it matchup based or field?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, the other day we did a lineup, so I was putting in this high attack, high pressure defense, but it turns into a zone on the back end. So I put in this long, athletic, ridiculous closing speed lineup when I put them on one team. And then the other team became, well, maybe this is a team that's going to have to play zone because maybe their one-on-one man-to-man defense isn't as great. And this team won. So I'm like, wow, you know, all right, let me think about this. So that's what I like. When we put the teams together, they're pretty even.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.